Welcome back. Today I'm gonna tell you guys about who that visitor was that I allowed into my first apartment. If you guys listen to my other story time about moving out at 17, you will know what's going on here. So if you haven't, go ahead and watch that now, so that you can kind of get brought up to speed. But basically, a little backstory. My dad and we had a lot of issues, okay? So he was never really in my life at all. He only came around when it was like convenient for him and whenever he saw fit for whatever reason. I never really got like child support. I never really felt, you know, like wanted from him. He also started like a new life, which with, you know, another woman, and had my sister Vanessa. So we just had like separate lives basically. We both lived in Chicago. He was sometimes living in Michigan, but for the most part we were both living in Chicago. And you know, he would say that he was gonna come and just never show up. So our relationship growing up was like there sometimes and sometimes not. He would pick me up sometimes and sometimes he wouldn't. But at 17 I got my own apartment, and my dad would always call me growing up, like from payphones or like from the jail. Like you can hear men, you know, like talking in the background, like super loud, but he never wanted to tell me he was in jail, but like I knew. And you would just always hear like, you know, and he'd be like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? You know, and I would just be talking to him because that was my dad. And like, what, you know? So anyways, fast forward, I'm 17, I have my own place with this guy, right? My dad's never met this guy. My dad starts coming around and calling me a lot once I had this place. And I honestly just thought that he started coming around a lot because of me not being around my mom. My mom can't stand my dad, like cannot stand him. I mean, can you blame her? So literally, like, he started calling me all the time, and like then he would pick me up. And there was this time that he called me and he goes, I bought you a car. And I'm like, you bought me a car? Like, no way. I did not have a car. So every time that I was walking, or that I had to go to work, I was walking, and it was about like a 30-minute walk there and back at 11 o'clock at night. So like it was a struggle for me, you know, having to go there, come back, go there, come back. You know, I couldn't get to school. I couldn't do things that I needed to do. So the fact that my dad came through actually on something, I was like, what? There's no way. Like, this is so sick. Like, thank you so much. Like, when can I see it? And he was like, I'll pick you up in it. You know, like, I'll pick you up. So I was like, okay. It was like a little Toyota car. You know, it had like the seat belt, you know, that like went down when you opened the car door, and then like when you closed it, it like went up automatically, you know. It was a little hoopty, you know, but it did the job. Like, it was clean, it ran well, like it was fine. So when he picked me up in the car, I was like, this is so cool, like, thank you, like, I love you, you know, whatever. And he was like, yeah, like, it's cool, you can have it, it's yours. And I was like, okay, so like, do we switch it over into my name? Like, what do we do, you know? Like, and he was like, oh no, like, it's it was under somebody else's name or something. Like, I don't know, he gave me the whole runaround, but I was like, okay, like, I don't care, whatever, just give me the keys. So I got to drive it with him in it, you know, and I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, just like take it for a test drive, like, you know, like, get used to it. I was like, okay, cool, like, this is so dope. And I was telling the guy that I was with, James, I was like, hey, like, he bought me a car, like, oh my god, like, we get to, you know. He was like, that's so dope, like, wow, your dad maybe is turning around, like, maybe he's coming around finally. And I was like, maybe, like, this is so cool. So then I'm getting really close with my dad, blah, blah, blah. And I remember like talking to my friends, and they just thought it was sketch. You know when like you're outside of the circle and you can see more clearly than someone inside of the circle. It was that kind of thing. And I remember my best friend, she was just kind of like, dude, like, it's not kind of weird to you? Like, it's kind of off to you that, like, out of nowhere? And I go, yeah, it's just because, like, you know, he didn't like my mom. They didn't really get along. And so, like, now he feels more comfortable to, like, come around more and stuff. So, like, I think that's all it is, you know? And she was just like, yeah. She's like, but just keep an eye out, you know? Like, just, and I was just like, yeah, for sure, you know? So, maybe about a week, maybe 2, passes. And he pops the question. And he goes, hey, I'm getting out of rehab. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I need a place to stay. And I was like, you need a place to stay? And then he was like, yeah, like, so I was thinking, since I got you a car, you know, maybe we can share it, and maybe I can just, like, stay on your couch for a little while. You know, I just need somewhere to stay that's, like, out of trouble, and, like, you know, if you know, somebody comes and checks on me, like, they're not gonna, you know, think anything's wrong, or I'm hanging out with the wrong people and stuff. Like, I got a job, and, you know, you can look at my checks, you can see that I'm making money, and, you know, I really need to save up. I really need to get my own place and get my life finally on track. He gave me this huge long story about what he wants to do with his life, what he's trying to do, and how I can help him, how I was the one that can help him get there, because I was mature. I had my own place at 17. I had everything figured out. And I said, okay, like, yeah, of course I want to help you, you know, like, you help me with the car, like, yeah, I'm gonna help you, you know. He was there now, so all I wanted to do was help my dad. So I talked to James, and James was like, do you trust him? And I was like, I mean, he's really trying to turn it around, right? Like, yeah, plus he'll help us with the bills, you know, like, we're struggling, so, like, him being on the couch, like, I can't even remember how much he was supposed to pay me. I think it was like $200. Like, seriously, I think it was like $200 for staying on my couch. So we all agreed. We all said, okay, fine, come through. He comes over, he has about like 4 bags of clothes in garbage bags, right? And he comes over in the car, he brings in his bags, he says what's up to James, and he's like, hey, like, I'm super exhausted, like, I'm gonna sleep, you know, but thank you guys so much, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, cool, here's some blankets, like, get comfortable. Like, I felt good, because I felt like, you know, if I'm in a position to help my dad, like, that's so amazing, you know? So I was like, oh my God, like, I haven't really been super close with him all these years, but, like, now I'm given the chance, so, like, yay, you know? And I felt more safe because he was, like, in the living room where our front door was, and it just felt, like, all good, right? So everything was okay for a little bit. He was getting up every morning, he was going to work, I was seeing him go to work, and he would come back, and he told me when he gets paid, when that check dropped. And back then, it wasn't like a direct deposit or whatever. Like, that was just started being a thing. And they were like paper checks, and you had to go to like the currency exchange and cash them. So he would show me his checks, and he'd be like, look, see, like, okay, I'm going to give you your money, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. And I said, what about the rest of it? Because part of our agreement was that I would not only get his part of the rent, but that I would also save his money. So he gets some, you know, to do whatever he wants with, of course. But then I was going to hold some money in my closet for him so that he can get out of my apartment, so that he can move on, so that he can, you know, grow and, like, be on his own, you know. But that never happened. That never happened because he was withholding all the money from me. It got to a point where I wasn't seeing his checks. I wasn't even getting the money for the rent. I wasn't knowing where he was all day. He would never let me use the car, so that car that was mine was never mine. It was never mine. It never got put under my name. I never got to use it, ever. Like, ever. So then I started to think, and I started to confide in my friends and my mother, and I felt like there was something I was missing. And to be honest, I think that thinking everything through, I think that at that time I realized that he used the car as a way to get somewhere to live. So he used me. So he, you know, kind of like did this, like, here's this shiny new car that you need and don't have. Here you go, I have it. But then you need to give me something. I'm gonna give you this and you give me something. It was one of those. So after seeing this, I remember I was so devastated, and honestly I feel like slightly emotional right now, because I remember I felt so devastated that, like, you could do that to me. Like, I don't have anything. I'm 17. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to finish high school. I got my own place. I'm independent. Like, I'm giving you a place to stay. You're finally wanting to be in my life. And then I come to the realization that none of that. You don't want to be in my life. You're using me. The car's not mine. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. He would ask me for, like, gas money, 20 bucks. How are you asking me for gas money when you have a job? Where have you been going every day? You're supposed to be paying me for staying on the couch. It got so bad. And he just started acting really distant and weird. And I started telling James, like, you know, I just feel weird about this. Like, it's not even my car. Like, I never get to use it. He always takes it. He'll go to work and then not come back until, like, 12, 11, 1. Like, where are you? Do I get to use the car? Or... So I remember just telling him, like, I don't know. There's something up. I don't know. So then there was this one night when... So James would wake up earlier than me. Because he was out of school at this point, he would go to work like at 6 in the morning or something. So then an hour later, I was supposed to get up and go to the school bus stop. And he woke me up really early, and I remember him saying, there's mud all over the kitchen. And I said, what do you mean there's mud all over the kitchen? Like, what? You know? And he goes, keep your voice down. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Tell me right now. He goes, someone was in our apartment. And I said, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, bro, do I need to be scared? Do I need to jump out this window right now? Like, what do you mean? And he goes, no, I think your dad left middle of the night and then came back through the window. And I go, what? So then I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, he does not know who he's messing with. He's crazy, but I am crazier. I am 2.0, okay? 2.0. Don't mess with me. Like, hold up. I was sad a little bit ago, but now you got me messed up, okay? So I was already knowing that he was doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, especially getting out of rehab or whatever. And I didn't want any of that stuff in my apartment. I didn't want any of that near me because, again, I just established my adultness, okay? My independence. And you were going to come in here and bring all that stuff up in here? Like, no. I was trying to prove to my mom, like, yo, I can do this. And you're, no. So I opened the door to my apartment, or I open the door to my room, and I walk out. So when you leave my room, the left side is where the living room is, where he was staying. And then if you go to the right, there's the kitchen. And you can literally, as soon as you turn, you can see the kitchen window. When I turned and looked at the kitchen window, there was dirt all over the wall. Footprints of mud. The window was still slightly ajar. I was livid because, did you have men in here? why didn't you just knock on my window to use the door? The whole thing is, I did not trust him, right? Because of his past and because of what he was doing. Also, I couldn't make another key. If you know, like, some house keys say, like, do not copy, do not duplicate on it. It was one of those situations, okay? I also didn't trust him, so I wasn't about to go above and beyond to go get another key made. So I told him, okay, you know, after work, just knock on the door, just call us, you know, like, and we'll open the door for you. Like, it's not a big deal. And he said because he left and he came back really, really late, he broke into my apartment and he climbed through the window, got mud everywhere, and then, I guess, passed out on the couch. Now, knowing what I know now, there's no way this was just a, well, you guys weren't answering the window knocks. I didn't want to wake you guys up, so I had to sneak in at like 3 in the morning through the window. Like, there is no way that that was done soberly with a clear mind, because we always opened the door. It's a simple light knock. You hear it. It's very loud. And he was supposed to be in his house at a certain time. It was like a curfew, you know. He was kind of like on watch, you know. So that being said, I was livid and I didn't trust him anymore after that, because I didn't know if he really did have somebody in my house. I didn't know what he was doing outside, and I don't know what he's bringing into my house. So he's not, and he lied to me. He's using me for my apartment instead of actually the car being mine, you know. Like, it was just a lot of things that all built up, and I didn't trust him at this point. And I'm like, I don't want you sleeping in the same apartment if I can't even trust that, like, you're gonna do the right thing. So I started cleaning up everything, and I sent photos to my mom, and I was like, look at this, like, I don't know what he's doing, like, I can't trust him, like, what is this, like. And then that was that. She's like, you gotta get him out of there, because I'm already freaked out about you living on your own with somebody that I hardly know, and then now you have this happening, and he's there. He's supposed to be protecting you, and instead he's like doing all these things. And I was like, I know, and then the car, just everything. So I had to let him out. I had to let him go. And I think I had told him, like, hey, like, I don't like what you're doing. I don't feel good about this, about you staying here. I don't feel safe. The car, I remember blowing up at him and just telling him, like, the car's not even mine. Like, you never let me drive it. He goes, what are you talking about? I go, when was the last time I drove it? I think you're using me, you know. And I just told him exactly how I was feeling. And I was like, I'm sorry, but you have to go. Why does this man turn around and say, I paid you this month. I'm not going anywhere? So my own father is protesting that he will not leave my couch because he paid his $200 that month, but literally hadn't saved a penny to get up out of my apartment. And I told him you were supposed to pay and also save so that you can get something on your own, and you're not doing that. You are not keeping up with your end of the bargain. So I'm sorry, but with all these things going wrong, like, you gotta go. And he was like, no, F that, like, I'm not going anywhere, blah, 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 blah. In the middle of all of this, he decides to call my little sister. Now, keep in mind, Vanessa is 5 years younger than me. So if I'm 17, she's about 12. Yeah, she's about 12. 7th grade, don't know nothing about nothing, okay? And he's calling her, oh my God, Vanessa, you won't believe what your sister is doing. She's kicking me out. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. And he's like crying to her, and she's like, what? Bobby, oh my God. You know, so she calls me, and she's like, Whitney, what's going on? Bobby's telling me that you're, you know, kicking him out on the street. Like, he doesn't have anywhere to go. And I'm just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Vanessa, I love you, but you can't believe everything that your dad is telling you, because that man is lying. He's lying. Like, he made me seem like the worst person in the world. Like, literally, like, he did nothing wrong. absolutely nothing wrong, and like I was just being mean and then just kicking him out. And he literally turned my little sister against me in that time. And that's what hurt me the most. Ugh. Freaking emotions, not right now. That's what hurt me the most, is that right there. That you would sit there and turn my own blood, like, I was so infatuated with my sister because she was all I had. Like, I only got one little sister, you know? And I was just like, she thought the world of me, and I thought the world of her, and I would protect her with, like, anything. Like, you know, like, no matter what I had to do, like, I'm gonna protect her, and I'm gonna fight for her. So to see that he had the power to turn my little sister against me to where she didn't even want to talk to me really, really hurt me. It hurt me so bad, and I was so pissed. So that was it. That was the last straw. You try to turn my little sister against me, you're out. You're done. You're done. Bye. So that was that. So I grabbed his bags. I shoved all of his clothes back into all his garbage bags. And I took them and I put them nicely outside of the front door. And I told him, I said, come get your bags because you're not coming back into this apartment. You can keep your little freaking car. I don't want it. Like, don't talk to me ever again. Like, I'm done with you. Because literally, this was all just a ploy to have somewhere to live the entire time. And it hurt so bad because at the end of the day, when he didn't get what he set out to get, he tried to destroy me. So, with, you know, destroy me, like, my relationship with my sister. And that was so heartbreaking. So that was that. And after that, he continued to call Vanessa and tell her, you know, how bad of a person I was and how I threw him out and just threw his clothes all over the place and stuff like that. And I just, like, left him for dead, basically. Which, he was probably, like, 45, 40, I don't even know at that time. Like, figure it out, you know? Like, you went into this wrong. There's no way that I'm in the wrong. I tried my best to put my best foot forward after a whole lifetime of you not being there for me, and you still proved me right that, you know, I shouldn't have. So, yeah, that's why I kicked my dad out of my apartment at 17. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you around for the next one. Love you guys. Bye.